Let's say you come across this type of question, will you be able to solve it? Now let's look at it together. The oxidation of this compound given here will give what? So what they ask us is this particular compound here, if we oxidize the compound, what will be the product? When you are working with oxidation reduction stuff, one thing you have to know in any organic chemistry question, you have to identify your starting material, I mean your compound. So this compound here, since we are having OH group here, that means it is an alcohol, right? It's an alcohol, alkanol, yeah, that's the general name. Then now one thing you have to do is it a primary alcohol, a secondary alcohol, or a tertiary alcohol? Now for those people that don't know the difference between primary alcohol, secondary and tertiary, let me we do represent it as for the primary is 1 degree, then secondary is 2 degree, then tertiary is 3 degree. So in case you don't just want to be writing primary, tertiary, you can just write 1 degree alcohol. Now 1 degree alcohol, your carbon carrying the OH, we have it will have 3 hydrogen, or it will have 1 carbon. I mean, okay, now let's assume you have a primary alcohol. So let's say this is the carbon carrying the OH, right? So the next carbon to it, we have 3 hydrogen, or it will attach to just 1 carbon. Now if it is secondary alcohol, it's going to be attached to 2 hydrogen, then 2 carbon. Now let's check this. If you check, this is the carbon carrying the OH, right? This is the carbon carrying the OH. If you can see it very well, you see that it is attached to this carbon and also to this carbon, which justify that it is a secondary alcohol. Now before I go to the answer, let's try and identify the tertiary alcohol. For the tertiary alcohol, it's not it's going to have only 1 hydrogen and 3 carbon. Probably it will be another carbon is coming from this place, so that will be tertiary. But for here it is a secondary alcohol. Now this is it. For you to get, is a general formula. So if we are oxidizing a primary alcohol, let me do it here. So if we are oxidizing a primary alcohol, so it's going to give you if you oxidize primary alcohol, it will give you alkanal. So it's going to give you alkanal. So when you oxidize the alkanal also, it's now going to give you carboxylic acid, which is the oic acid here. I guess you understand, right? Now let's now say you oxidize secondary alcohol. If you oxidize a secondary alcohol, it's going to give you a ketone. So it's just going to give you a ketone, and there is no further reaction, because this one, you know, when we got to the alkanal, we later went to alkanoic, right? So once you get a ketone, which is the same thing as alkanone, there's no further reaction. Now let's now say for the tertiary alcohol. For the tertiary, the tertiary alcohol, you cannot actually oxidize it, and for you to be able to oxidize a secondary alcohol, you will use a very strong oxidizing agent. So if you're able to use a strong oxidizing agent, you'll be able to get a mixture of ketone and carboxylic acid. So that's just, let me write it as oic. So you'll be able to get a mixture of ketone and carboxylic acid. Now, since this is a secondary alcohol, and we know that if you oxidize a secondary alcohol, that's going to give you a ketone. Now, let's try and look for a ketone here. This is an alkanal, which is out of it. Butanoic acid, which is also out of it. And then 3-butanal is also out of it. Then we have only 1 ketone, which is 2 ketone. Now, let's assume that you were given 2 ketones. So how are you going to know the one that will be the answer? If you see the position of our OH, you will see that the position is at position 2, right? So that's why the answer is 2-butanone. If you have any other question, let me know in the comment section.